hello, welcome to the show. It's me, JP, and it's time for JP's product pick of the week. Thank you so much for stopping by. We have people over in our chats that I'd love to welcome, and thank you for joining us. We keep an eye on the YouTube chat as well as our own Discord server, so if you want to join in on that, head over to one of those two places. The Adafruit Discord is at adafruit.it/discord, and then look for the live broadcast channel. That is it right there. You can see we've got so many fine people joining us here today. Hello, C. Grover and Blitz City DIY. Jim Hendrickson. Hello, Jenny7. Thanks for stopping by. Hey, Thin Man. Over in our YouTube chat, we've got Tackle the World. Hello, Gordy G. Justin Kovacic. OG Thinkster. And Tyrone Mix. Hello. Thanks for stopping by. So what do we have going on here on this show today? Well, first of all, we've got a brand new product pick, and you can get it not at that URL. Is that right? Oh yeah, it is. My screen was showing it funny with a little glitch on it. You can head right there to that URL, stop into the product page itself, and you'll see that this show is broadcast right from inside of there, so you can keep watching the show and be on the product page. I'm going to refresh mine right now and check that we've got them. That's right, half price. And we stashed 100 of them before the show, just brought them right back into stock. Thank you so much to the new products team for taking care of that, making that all work so seamlessly. You can get 10 of them per customer. There's no coupon code involved. You just simply throw it in your cart and buy it or them before the end of the show when the price will go back up. So that's how that works on today's product pick. Every week's like that. So what is this thing? Well, as is customary here on this show, I like to have Lady Ada tell us about it in her original new product segment. So take it away, Lady Ada.
Yeah, this is the Power Relay FeatherWing. So we've had other Relay FeatherWings, but they were small signal level. This one is actually pretty high power. It can do 1,200 watts, so it can do small appliances. It can turn on and off your TV or a toaster oven, or electronic devices around your house. It could do quite a bit, up to 250 volts AC, up to 10 amps. At 120. Look at the data sheet for the exact specs, because depending on whether it's inductive or resistive load, you'll have to derate it. But for resistive load, I think it was 1,200 watts. So handy ones. It's a 3-volt relay, so it works with all of our feathers, and we actually selective soldered it even. So you get it with the relay and the terminal blocks attached, and then you just solder close one of the jumpers to select which pin you want to use, and then we have the demo here showing it with a lamp and a Bluefruit feather, but of course, or an ESP feather connected to Adafruit.io.
This is using Adafruit.io.
Yeah, using Adafruit.io.
We're eating our internet-connected dog food, as they say in the biz.
Yeah. So this is great.
I hope they don't say that.
The smaller relays are a little bit less expensive, handy when you need a latching relay or a very small signal and you want it to be compact, but this one is nice and chunky, big sugar cube relay.
Yes, that's right. It is a big sugar cube relay. That got my attention. Sorry about that. I was moving things around back there and lost track of time. So yes, let's roll up our sleeves and dig into this. This right here, here it is. This is my product pick of the week this week. It is the Power Relay FeatherWing. So this I love. I've used this in a bunch of projects over the years. It is terrific for switching high power stuff. It's great for AC or DC. You may recall this air blaster that I set up for some Halloween shenanigans has a solenoid valve that lets a bunch of high pressure air out. Uses this very relay FeatherWing to do the trick. So it's a FeatherWing, which means you can plop it on top of a feather or use one of these right here, one of these feather doublers, triplers, quadruplers types of things. Slot that into there, and then you can control it with one pin on your feather. Let me go back to this view. The trick here is that there are a bunch of pins that can be chosen as your control pin. It's just a digital pin that you'll set high and low to open and close, or close and open the relay rather. And initially there is no pin set, so what you do is bridge the little solder jumpers under there. In fact, let me go back to this view. You can see right there. I have this jumper closed. That one corresponds to pin 10. And we have a pretty wide list of pins that you can use. I wrote them down. In fact, we've got pins A0, 1, 2, and 5, SCK and MOSI, all on this edge, and then 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 on this side. So a bunch of pins that you can use, and then you're just going to control those from a little 3-volt signal on your microcontroller. What that does is opens and closes this big honkin' chunky relay to open or close the common pin. So we'll put power typically into the center pin, and then the normally open pin or terminal here will be connected to the thing you're trying to run. And then the common ground will run from your power supply to your thing. In this case, I've got a little solenoid that I'm going to control. We'll show that in a second. And whenever you set that pin to high, in this case pin 10, it will close the relay and then allow that larger current to flow through there. So that's how that'll work. Before I go on with the demo, let's look at a couple of things. So again, as I mentioned, you can head to that URL right there to go check out the product. That is it right there. And you can see we've got $4.98 is the price. We've got 73 of them in stock still. We had 100 at the top of the show. So if you want to get one or a few, throw them in there. Like I said, it will just remain at this low half-off price through the show. And then after the show, it'll go back up. So grab some if you want to use them. And if you take a look at the product page here, you can see we've got some stats on here. So it's able to switch up to 10 amps of a resistive load current at 120 volts AC, or 5 amps at 240. You can do inductive loads at about half of that current. And this has a bunch of protection diodes and things like that in there, so that it's you don't have to set up your own circuit. It's not just a bare relay, but it's got the circuitry around it to make it all work nicely. I will say, if you're using big inductive loads like solenoid valves, you'd still usually want a pretty big electrolytic capacitor added to that to prevent the EMF collapsing wave from restarting your microcontroller. So I still usually recommend doing that. You can do things like turn a full 120 volt lamp on and off with it. Just be careful with your high voltage stuff. You've got to be a little bit careful. Don't have things hot and plugged in while you're working with them. If you scroll down a little bit, you can see, by the way, there's a nice video here showing the innards of a relay if you want to see how that works, but it's essentially a little magnetic coil that opens and closes a small contact. It flips a switch for you. And if you, excuse me, let me get a sip. If you take a look here, we have a few projects that have been built using these power relay FeatherWings, and we also have a learn guide on this one itself. So you can see there's a nice example of it being used with a Bluefruit Feather and some Adafruit I/O to do some remote lamp. That's a full AC plugged into the wall kind of lamp, mains power that you can turn on and off with this. And you'll do some soldering if you want to solder this into some header pins to put into a feather or a feather breakout of some kind. There are the pins underneath. You can see there's also a little routing out here for thermal relief so that the relay can vent off some heat as it's working. Then if you click the next link, you'll see we've got the pinouts here. As was mentioned by OG Thinkster in the YouTube chat, hey, they're using a reputable brand of relay. Yeah, it's an Omron relay, pretty typical high-quality relay that you'll buy if you're sourcing your parts yourself and you want to get the good stuff. You can see also on the close-up there, we have a few things available on the top of the board. There's a reset button, which is nice and easy to get to. Very helpful if you stack this on top of a Feather. There's an LED that lights up when you are sending the relay a voltage high to close it, so you know that it's receiving that signal. The underside, you can see if we scroll down here, has the pins that are available for your control from the feather. You just pick the one you want, only one. Jumper that with a little blob of solder, and you're ready to go. And we have some nice big terminal block on top there that you can screw in your wiring to the thing you're driving and the source. And then there's some downloads there if you want to take a look at the data sheets, schematic, the PCB design there. That'll give you all that info right there. So let's take a look at it in action. I'm going to flip over to this view here. So first, let me hook it up. Let me set the stage here. What are we doing? So to use this, I'm going to take my power relay feather. To use this, I'm going to take my power relay FeatherWing. I have a 12-volt bench supply that I'm going to send to this common terminal here in the middle. So I'll go ahead and screw that in. I'm trying to do this so you can still see it. Nice beefy wire there. So that's coming from a 12-volt supply. And then I have this solenoid latch. This is used to unlock a door. I'm going to send that to the normally open contact there and screw that down. And like I said, I have pin 10 on this soldered, the jumper on the bottom side, so that pin 10 on my feather, I've got a RP2040 prop maker feather here. Whenever I send pin 10 high, it's going to close that relay, close that circuit, and we'll get our solenoid to close. So let's take a look now with code view on there. I'm going to see if I think we're ready to go. Okay, so I've got, I'll reset it. Press my little reset button on the power relay FeatherWing. It has now started my code. I have a little button here, a little switch. When I press it, it will start opening and closing that relay, which in turn opens and closes my solenoid because it's sending the full 12 volts through there. And I can turn that back off. And then just because it's kind of fun, I had some much faster values in there ready to go. So I'm going to hit save, and now I'm going to close it for just 0.025 seconds and then dwell in a pause mode for just 0.07 seconds, so it'll be pretty fast. Let me resave that. I had a space in there. And there we go. Tick, 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 tick. Turn that off. So basically the same thing. I'm using that relay to open and close the solenoid here. It's the same as using the relay to open and close the solenoid valve on my air cannon there. So let's see what questions we've got, or if anyone wants any clarifications on what's going on there. We use the signal relay. Yeah, so ATmaker Bill says they like the signal relay. The smaller allows for a smaller current type of application. If you want to use it without a feather, you can just wire to ground and signal. Yeah, it's a good point. If you look at the top of the board here in this photo, right on the the lower left of the board in that top picture, you can see there's a pad there called signal. So you can just solder a wire to that and solder a wire to the ground and run it to one pin. So, or rather the signal and the ground. Is that right? You know what, I should double check that before I go saying that's right. Is that right? Is that a direct line to it? You're probably right. Let's see. I want to verify that. Let me check. I feel like I've used it that way before, but it's been a while. So if we look at the pinout page, do we mention the use of the signal? Controlling relay is really simple. Relay uses a single pin for control. When the pin is pulled high, switch is closed. Solder close the jumper on the bottom. When the relay is closed, it will draw. Do we not explain what that is? All right. I'm not sure, Bill. Good question. I'll try to figure that out. Or if anyone wants to look at the schematic and answer that, I can't remember if that is how that's used. Good question though. So let's take a look at the code here, see what I'm doing, because it's really dead simple to use. If you can blink an LED, you can use this. So the main things that are going on, I'm importing in CircuitPython here, I'm importing digital I/O. I'm setting up this relay pin. It's, in this case, pin D10. And I'm setting it up as an output pin. And that means I can drive it high or low, false or true, by setting relay pin.value. So if I set that to true or high, that's what's going to cause the relay to be energized. I'm also setting up this little button here so that I can turn that on and off. And then I'm just checking the state of this when I flip the button in one direction or another. It changes the state. And if that button state is true, then I'm saying relay pin value is true, and then I'm sleeping for whatever this on time is, and then relay pin value is false. That's what releases it, and I dwell for, or pause for however long this off time is. So if we go back to, let's say, 0.1 and 2, save that. This will give us a open, like a open the door, let you get through, and then close it back. Click, unlocked, unlocked. So as you can imagine, this is great for little puzzles, escape room kinds of things, tricks, different effects. If you want to drop a thing on someone's head based on a motion sensor, maybe a solenoid valve is the thing for you. So that's a possible use. Not limited to solenoids, however. Kind of anything you can imagine that draws bigger power, bigger current, higher voltage is possible. Anything up to 1200 watts, so you could do even some appliances, maybe a tea kettle, maybe a blender, those kinds of things. I've used these types of relays to turn blenders on and off before for a weird sort of musical performance. So those are some possible uses for that. Going back to the chat here for a second, Bill said, looked at the schematic, that relay signal is connected to that pin. So you can, yeah, thank you, Bill. So you can use this even if you're not plugging into a Feather, if you just want to plug it into a Cutie Pie or something like that. You're just going to run wires from ground, the 3-volt, and that signal wire, and then you can drive that signal wire up and down from something else. And then you wouldn't close any of the solder jumpers, because that would take away that ability to close that pin. Thank you. Thanks for looking that up. All right. What else? Have I missed anything? That is it up and running. And I can, just for fun here, since I've got that mostly set up, if I plug in USB power to the Feather and relay here, that just is opening and closing the relay there. If I give it 12 volts to my power supply to the solenoid there, then my little relay is going to allow that solenoid to open and close. Let me plug this in over here. And I'm going to keep the air shut off for a second, so you should just hear a clicking. So there's the relay, power relay, opening and closing, letting 12 volts go through. That's that bigger ding. And then I'll probably blow things off of my workbench here, but let's try it with air. I've got 40 psi in here, so I think I just blew over some Lego pieces or something like that over there, so I'll turn that back off. So that is the power relay FeatherWing. I love this thing. It is fantastic. It is the answer. I don't know what your question is, but it's probably the answer. All right. Other questions? If not, we will... Genisco 7s, you could use this to build a relay for your bilge pump. Yeah, these are great since you can write a little bit of code in CircuitPython or Arduino on your Feather, use some different, any sensor you want. You can use this for all sorts of home automation types of things, for things like monitoring moisture levels, if you want to set up an automatic bilge pump to keep your basement dry, that sort of thing. Okay, I think that's going to do it. Thanks everyone so much for stopping by. Let me, I'm going to take this one, I'm going to unplug this. Let's pull this one here apart real quick so that I can show that off. I like using it with these feather doublers, triplers, quadruplers. Very convenient. Incidentally, before I go, this is a, since we're celebrating Radio Shack this month, this is a 12-volt regulated power supply, Micronta from Radio Shack, right here that I'm using to power this. All right. There we go. That's my product pick of the week this week. It is the Power Relay FeatherWing. For Adafruit Industries, I'm John Park. This has been JP's product pick of the week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.